Yeah, it's always changing. I mean, well, if you're trying to strive to be a better person than you were the day before, which is my mantra basically, I always want to be a better version. You're always changing. It's hard to tell, like, have I made it? Am I there yet? I think I stopped asking those questions and I just accept the fact that I'm just living and I'm enjoying the process of evolving, trying to be better. And as long as I feel that I'm accomplishing things on a daily basis at a rate that I need to, that's usually my happiness is based off of how close I'm getting to that realm, basically, my daily habitual growth. So, and it's, for me, it's like an ever-going process, whether it's like studying something, understanding something, acquiring a new skill from a program, working on a new film, whatever it might be. So it's ever-changing. Yeah, I'm very emotional and I wear it on my sleeve, so I'm instantly like either very happy or very upset or whatever it might be. I'm very much turned on. I think as I mature and develop as a human being, I'm able to like manage those emotions a little bit more without contriving them or putting them down. So it used to be much more emotionally driven, whereas now I do enjoy things and I do very much get excited by things. Because what's the point in living if you're not getting excited by things, you know? So absolutely, I mean, the energy that I put into my excitement when I get into a project, it's like, that's what fuels the hard days ahead, because it's all hard work. So it's like using that muse, that push, basically. So yeah, to answer your question, I get very excited. Yeah, and just blessed to have the chance to do these things for a living. I think it's all about your perspective, and I really use the skill of perspective to give myself a better understanding of what is good and what's bad. I think as an artist, and if you're very passionate, if you run into like a big obstacle, it feels like your world's falling apart. But I think the moment, it's like looking very macro at your life. You're looking very close, like almost through a microscope. If you take your eye out of the microscope and you walk to the window and you look at the view of everything and you go, well, I have my health, I have my family, I have loved ones, I have people that I care about, I have people that are in my immediate connection that I really adore and love. Thankfully, I'm so blessed to have that. And so getting that perspective allows me to manage those little nightmares, basically, we consider them. So I go, this isn't that big of a deal. And I think that anytime I've looked at, you know, I call them my silent mentors, if I look at them like other directors and people that I've studied, they must have had to do the same thing because they've accomplished such larger things. They have to deal with such, you know, higher risks and things like that. And I realized that in order to achieve that high level, I have to kind of use perspective, the tool of perspective, to look outside of that and not be so up close on it. So that really helps. Decision making and finding ways of making decisions and having a lot of it comes from like a gut instinct, you know. And if your gut instinct at the beginning was wrong, and it's a matter of navigating that, and if it wasn't right, then you can always change it. But it's almost like, if I were to quote somebody, it'd almost be like Bruce Lee's interaction with water, like, you know, being like water, being able to be transcendent, being able to work with the flow of things, the energy of flow, like the inspiration and also the logistics of making things happen. It's there's gonna be clashes along the way, but I think it's really good and very important to just being able to let things kind of evolve as you go and making those decisions as you go and having them kind of help you, I don't know, see things through. And I don't know if that's answering that. I went a little abstract with it, but you mentioned the beginning of this, like everybody has their own walk in the path that they take. For me, it's like I'm taking my own path, and that path needs me to have both balanced. The engineer mind, the production side, and then also like the technical side, but also the creative artistic side, the one that has that, you know, that influence that comes from an emotion. And putting those two together, they're like oil and water, but when they work together, they're quite beautiful. And so it becomes a balance. And I think that's what makes great work a lot of times, is that balance between those two elements, you know. So I think it's really important. For me personally, it's really important to have the balance between those two things. Nature holds the patent to all originality, so you can just use your lens. Again, if we talk about the artistic lens, like the other night, just looking at things and looking at the way that the twilight, the way that the sun's receding down and the changing temperature of the sky, and then how that's bouncing light off of the building. I'm constantly looking at things. Like now that I'm learning how to model, I'm just looking at that object right there like, oh, okay, I'm breaking it down. It's almost like it's probably a really cheesy thing to say, but it's like when Neo from the Matrix is starting to understand things and starting to break down and break things apart. It's like a self-realization, I guess. It's a very different level of cognitive thinking about how to dissect the things around me. And I'm constantly studying nature around us, whether it's architecture, man-made objects, or nature-made objects, which are just things designed through time, so always, constantly. I think that's probably one of the best gifts. I'm so blessed to have eyesight, to be able to look at things and be able to experience them and smell them and taste them and feel them. And it's like everything is like using all my senses to acquire as much information as possible, because that just feeds the art. It's said that music, if we use music as an example to be opposite from visuals, but it's said that music is 80% the experience of a film-going experience. So, which I agree. If you can imagine watching Star Wars without the amazing score, it's a beautiful thing, but it doesn't have that overall experience, and I think that's really important. So I think it's just, all in all, you can't have one without the other. It's like balance. You need to have all those different senses, constantly being aware of those things, because they're just going to feed that information. Even if you can't put smell into a movie, you can use that smell to connect with another sense. And I think that really will help evolve your overall palette. And I think the more that you can go and experience life, and the more that you can put time into that experience, the better your art's going to be. That's my own standpoint, though. Like, our existence and our experiences in life are our art, and the things that we know come from our experiences. Our assumptions are based off of past experiences. The more life that you live, the better your art's going to be, I think. So, and the different adversities and the different things that you put yourself through, I think, will really evolve that. So, because you can't just sit in the computer all the time. That's where you do the work, but you can't just sit there and expect the experiences to come through. Like, that's just not how it works. You have to go do the things and experience those things, the adversities and all those different changes, and it's an important part of the whole circle, I think. I've lost really close loved ones at a very early age, and when you lose that, I'm just talking about the pain that causes, but instead of letting it destroy me, I made it build me bigger and make me stronger to live for them as well, because they didn't have a chance to live their life to the fullest or get a chance to live their life. And so, good or bad, I think it's just an experience, and really using your lens to, distort it in your own way. But at the same time, I really feel a lot of these things are predestined. So yeah, it's really quite weird. All creative. Alt is actually ALT, Ashley Livingston Thorp. That's my name. My wife thought might as well do that. And so we kind of created a corporation for tax purposes at the same time. What I had done is I created a brand around my name, I guess, unintentionally. I started making work and showing it. But all creative, I think, I've kind of just evolved. It's not really a company, a large one. We do expand on different projects. If a director and a production team comes to me and they say, we have this amount of work that we need to do, I will reach out to my friends, and I treat it almost like I don't know, this might sound hokey, but like family. It's like, oh, you're really good at, like, if we're to sit down and make dinner, I'm like, you're really good at baking, so you're going to take care of the baking. I'm going to take care of like the sauces or whatever, and we're all going to work together to make this amazing meal to give to this person. And so it does expand, but I had worked at a lot of companies, and I saw like things that didn't really riff with me properly. You talk about going against the flow. It's like certain things that I just didn't connect with. It just didn't make sense to me. Like, why would I want to do those things? So I don't really, it's probably bad as a business. I could probably make a lot of money if I wanted to, but it's like, that doesn't drive me. Like, enough money to sustain my living and keep my family happy and healthy, that's all that matters. And the rest of it doesn't, it's whatever. So the company kind of evolved that way, but the way I treat the company, it's mostly just working with friends, and as projects come in, naturally just evolving, expanding if we need to, and contracting as we do. So for the most part, it's just me throughout the year, and my wife helps me as well. You look at the world, the existence of everything, and then you go and you see the norms, and then you go, how can I expand upon this? Because I don't like repeating myself. And so anytime I work with like a director, I have really, I like to have one-on-one personal conversations with my director and ask them, what is the story that you're trying to tell, and how are you trying to tell this, and how can I help you evolve this into another way? So I'm constantly going to the root. It's all like to change and push boundaries, you must understand the core and the reason why. And then from there, you can go and set a trajectory to go farther away. I don't necessarily look at what's contemporarily going on in a trend and go, okay, I'm just going to push this. I'm aware of it, but I don't look at that as being my obstacle. I push this to the side and I look at the core reason and I set a trajectory for it. So I really do a lot of like meditative thought without, I guess it's evolving more as I develop as an artist. I think a lot and then kind of evolve it and sketch out the ideas and yeah. But pushing boundaries is all about, you should feel a little bit frantic and almost like it's impossible, and it should feel like it'll never happen. That's when you're onto the right thing. It should feel impossible. And that feeling of like, I don't think this is gonna get done, that's how you know you're on the right pace. So, which sucks, because it's really difficult, you know, to put yourself through that, but I think that's when you're really doing it right. The last film that my friend Chris Beyer and I made together is called Epoch, and we made a 11-minute, all completely CGI film, and we made it in 3 months. And this is on off time, so this isn't full time. We didn't just go 3 months away from things. So, and we wanted to match the level and quality of Stanley Kubrick's 2001, which is very difficult to do. So, yeah, there was moments where it's like, this is going to be so difficult, and seeing things come through, but right on that fringe of this is not possible or it is possible. And at the end of it, the final film was 16,460 frames, so 16,450 images in 3 months. That's just for the final cut. And there's many more sequences that didn't make it to the final cut. But yeah, I mean, it's that project in particular is just one of many, but we're on the cusp of just going, I don't know if this is possible or if this is going to be possible, and trying to figure out if we're able to make it happen. But I think pushing the boundary for me personally, creatively on that, was just looking at Stanley Kubrick, looking at the team that he employed to do the film that he had created, and looking at Chris and I and our 3 computers and saying, let's go up against that. Let's see how close we can get to that. And at the end of it, I'm very proud of all those sleepless nights and the struggles that it led up to it, but I'm very rarely proud of the work, but that was one of the moments in my career where I'm like, that was very close to how I saw it in my head. It's very close. So yeah, which is really crazy. Yeah, it's an amazing time right now as an artist. Like, the best time to be an artist is right now, I think. So the Renaissance, so second Renaissance, I guess.